Welcome to Queen's Quest, the show for anyone tired of waiting for things to happen and who's ready to start making them happen. Every week, we'll discuss actionable strategies to unlock your full potentials and turn your ambitions into achievement, all with a spiritual foundation. The goal is to ignite the fire inside of you, to increase the passion for the journey you're on, and to breathe new life into what feels stuck. We're going to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. I am your host, the Queen of Landry, and your future starts now. All right, girlfriends, let's get honest for a moment. Have you ever looked up and realized somewhere along the way you disappeared? You were still showing up, you were still loving, you were still giving, but your voice, your needs, your identity, they got quieter and quieter. And maybe nobody even asked you to disappear, but you did it to keep the peace. You may have did it to keep the relationship or to keep the love. Today's question is one many of us carry in silence. Why do I lose myself in relationships? Or how do I lose myself in relationships? Hey, girlfriend, this week we are continuing the conversation about ships. Yes, relationships and how we lose ourselves in them. Now, losing yourself in relationship doesn't appear overnight and it doesn't happen in one big decision. It's not like you sit down and said, okay, I'm going to lose myself in this friendship or in this relationship with this significant other. It most definitely is a series of small compromises. It may look like saying yes when you really want to say no. It may be silencing your feelings to avoid conflict. It may be prioritizing their needs but neglecting your own, and adjusting who you are so you won't be rejected. And again, this is a series, like it's happening often, more so than not. This is when you start following into losing yourself in a relationship. And this is just not a romantic relationship because it shows up whether in the family dynamics where you're the peacemaker, you want to keep the peace and everybody happy, right? It could show up in a friendship where you're the strong one. They always call on you. They always rely on you, whether it's for a ride or whether it's for advice or whether it's financial assistance. You're the strong one, right? Or in spaces where your role becomes your identity, whether that's a leadership role and you just become that leader and that takes over you and that's you all day, every day. And somehow along the way, whether you seen this growing up or you felt like it was easier just to live life this way, you have learned if I shrink, things stay calm. If I adjust, I stay loved. If I disappear, I won't reject. For many of us, that's an ouch moment because we have been there, we have done that. We may still be living in it in that moment, in that season where we are disappearing, where we are adjusting, where we are shrinking, because that's just what we have become. Again, it's not something that happens overnight, it's just something we have become. We don't lose ourselves because we're weak, so don't think that. We lose ourselves because we are wired for connection. That's a big one. When I say giving y'all the tea, transparency, evidence, and authenticity, like that is so true. Evidence based. We are wired as human beings for connection. But when connection gets tied to approval, when connection gets tied to validation, or when connection gets tied to survival, we start to perform instead of being. Oh, that's a good one. So, some of us, we learned early that love had conditions. We learned early peace required silence. We learned early that acceptance required sacrifice. So we became who others needed us to be. That's just the truth of the matter. But here's some deeper truth. Love that requires you to abandon yourself, it is not healthy, girlfriends. It's imbalanced. God did not create you to disappear inside of someone else's life. He placed you in someone's life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. But it placed you in their life, but he placed you in their life to show up as your authentic self. Why? Because that person needed to see you as your authentic self. You were created with identity. You were created with purpose. You were created with a voice, right? Genesis reminds us that we are made in his image. That means who you are matters. Your authenticity is required. Your voice in the room is required. And to be real, God centered love. It reflects this truth. It covers you, but it doesn't erase you. It supports you, but it doesn't silence you. It grows you, but it doesn't shrink you. Because even Jesus, who loved us deeply, he never lost his identity. He served, he gave, he showed up, but he also set boundaries. He also withdrew when needed. He also spoke truth even when it was uncomfortable. My cousin just posted, people want to be comfortable, but they don't want conflict. So basically, we fold, right? Or we plateau. I'm good right here, just giving a little bit, just sticking my pinky toe in it. I don't have to be 10 toes down. That's just the truth of the matter. And it can be uncomfortable. Yeah. So remember this, even Jesus did not disappear to be loved. Why do we feel like we have to? We don't. And I know we are not Jesus Christ, but we are Christ like. So, what does that mean? It is attainable. We can reach for the goal to be our authentic selves. We can reach for the goal to make sure we can set boundaries and not get lost in someone's life and become something that we're not. We can obtain that goal, ladies. We can. You might be losing yourself in a relationship if you feel guilty for having needs, or if you have to over explain or over apologize. You find yourself saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Jeez, everything you do is not wrong. Or you may avoid conflict at all cost, not answering phones, not responding to the text, or just saying, okay, I'll be there when you really don't want to, or knowing that you're right and you're just like, whatever, it's easier to fold. Or you feel anxious about disappointing others. Like, if I don't show up, who's going to show up for her? If I don't show up, who's going to show up for him? It's okay. Especially if you're putting their needs before your needs. You're important too. Or you may no longer recognize who you are outside of the relationship. Like, who is Queena? What is she like? What are her hobbies? That's losing yourself. And here's the big one, you feel drained instead of fulfilled. Because when you're constantly abandoning yourself, your soul feels it from the inside out. And understand, in ships, some seasons you will pour more into your friendships, your relationships, the leaderships. You will. That's just life. However, some seasons you should feel poured into. You should feel like you're being fulfilled as well. Okay? Healthy love, that's what it is. Healthy love says, I want you to be fully you, even if it changes me a little, because we adjust ourselves, but we don't lose ourselves in the ships. Your voice matters here. God created us differently on purpose. That was by design. We can disagree and still stay connected. I used to say this all the time. We can agree to disagree and move right along with no hard feelings, because that's life. That's healthy love. You have boundaries without guilt. What are you doing? You're teaching people what your boundaries are, right? You have honesty without fear. If you come from a place of love, remove the fear, right? You also have a space for growth on both sides, especially if it's a new relationship, a new friendship, a new leadership role, right? We have to allow room for growth. And most importantly, healthy love is mutual. It's not one-sided sacrifice. That means it's not a one-way street. Okay? Love goes and comes. It's flowing. Right? Share the love. If you realize you've been disappearing, I want you to hear this. You're not too far gone. There's still hope. Okay? You don't have to burn everything down to come back to yourself, but you do have to start choosing yourself again. So get your journals, girlfriends. We're going to get some steps so you can start this week on reactivating yourself and freeing yourself from being captivated and stuck maybe into someone who you're not. That's not good, right? Okay, here's 3 steps you can start this week. 1, get honest about where you've been shrinking. And that can be big, but take some time. Where are you saying yes, but feeling resentment? Like, I really don't want to do this? Yeah, you're losing yourself. Or where you are staying quiet, but feeling hurt. You shouldn't have to be in any kind of ship where you're feeling neglected or where you're feeling like your voice doesn't matter. Okay. Awareness, that's the first step. Number 2, practice small moments of truth. You don't have to change everything overnight because guess what? You didn't lose yourself overnight. It took some time, right? It took series of actions. So start with this. I actually need to think about that for a moment. Give me some time. Or I don't think that's going to work for me. Or here's how I'm feeling about this situation, right? When I said you're coming out of love. Now, get this, your voice will feel unfamiliar, but it doesn't mean it's wrong, especially if you've been lost for a long time. It will feel strange, but keep practicing it. Keep practicing it. Okay. Number 3, bring God back to the center of your identity. This is the most important one because who did God create you to be before you tried to become who others needed you to be? I'm going to say that again for the girls in the back. Ask yourself, who did God create me to be before I tried to become who others needed me to be? Because the more grounded you are in Christ, the less likely you're going to start disappearing from others. Why? Because you're going to step back and check in and say, God, is this right? Or you're going to feel some type of way in your soul, right? Like, this is not a good connection for me. And then you're going to proceed more wisely in a more healthier fashion. And I do want to leave you with this. You should never have to lose yourself to be loved. Real love does not ask you to disappear, but it invites you to show up as your full, authentic self. And the right relationships in your life will rise to meet the real you. It's the truth of the matter. So this week, I want you to take one moment, yes, just one, where you choose honesty over peacekeeping. Ooh, I know that can be big, but I want you to do it. Take one moment this week where you choose your voice instead of silence. Speak up. And I want you to begin to see how things will shift. All right? Girlfriends, I want us to stay connected. So I want you to subscribe to my webpage, royalinspirations.net. Hit the subscribe button at the bottom of the homepage. And what I do is I send weekly motivational tips and tricks just to help you get through the week. And you become a Royal rep and you'll be a part of a community. You're not doing this by yourself, okay? I want to thank you, girlfriends, for joining me on this week of Queen's Quest. A quick update, I am switching my frequencies from every Tuesday to posted every other Tuesday. Why? Because I'm in the final stages of finishing the book that my grandmother and I wrote. So I'm so excited about that. So my focus is shifting. So I have to put a little bit more time into that. And so I'll just be here every other Tuesday. However, please still tune in. And if this specific episode spoke to you, it blessed your soul, share it with another woman who may be losing herself while trying to hold everything together. Or share it on your social media pages. You don't know who's out there who's needing to hear this. And we want to have healthy and whole lives, right? So share this. You can also follow me on Instagram at Royal One Inspire or on TikTok at Royal Inspirations. Okay? Remember, girlfriends, you do not have to disappear to be loved. Be your authentic self. I am your host, the Queen of Landry. I am sending you peace, love, and favor. Have a great week, ladies.